So today on our budget Cherokee here, we're going to cut the rear fenders, get some more clearance for some tires, for some larger tires. What we are going to do right now is going to be a real rough job just to give you an idea how to do it. We are going to be eventually cutting this whole quarter panel out. We're going to stretch the rear end back on this probably 6 inches or so. So eventually we are going to have our fender cut out along this line here. But for the weekend here, we're just going to try to throw some big tires under it and run it and see what we can break. First thing you got to do, remove your flare. There are 5 bolts in the backside. That'll pull right off. Now what we're going to do, we're going to do a cut and fold method on this. You don't want to cut into any of these spot welds. So what I do is I go through and I mark every spot weld around here just to make sure you don't cut into them. You will have to cut this lip off. I guess you don't have to, it just makes it a lot easier, a lot cleaner. So you'll go through, you'll cut this lip off here, and then we will have to put relief cuts in here. Again, missing the spot welds, it doesn't really matter where you do these. The more you do, the nicer job, the cleaner job it's going to be. What you do have to do is once you get to the corner, the radius here, you need to put more relief cuts in just so it bends tighter, so you don't have real big lips in there, or real big things. Anyway, we are going to bend it right at this line here, so we're going to gain a good probably 1.75 to 2 inches of clearance the entire way around the wheel well. Obviously back here, this is rotted out. We're not going to worry about it. Normally, you continue this down here. I'm really just going to take a hammer, pound that in right now. It's not going to be a clean job, it's going to be a real quick job. Like I said, it's just to get through this weekend. We're going to throw some 34-inch tires under this. Eventually, after this weekend, this is going to get 1 tons stretched, and I will bend a chunk of tubing to run somewhere along this line here. We're going to cut this whole quarter out, move the axle back, and hopefully fit at least a 43-inch tire in here. So I will cut this out. I will put most of the relief cuts in it, and once I get that done, we will start over start the video over so I don't bore you. All right. Okay, so here we are. We got the lip cut off of there. As you can see, I got all my relief cuts throughout here, missing all them pinch welds. Then we just basically take a hammer. A rubber mallet usually works a little better. It doesn't dent everything up. And just pound everything over. The more time you take here, the nicer it will be. Like we said, I'm not looking for nice. I'm looking for quick and easy on this one. Okay, like I said, that's a quick, ugly job, but it gets the desired effect for what we want. Normally I would tell you to take some time here, pound that in real nice. Said I don't have it pounded up real tight in all these corners, but honestly I don't care. You should you know, sand it, paint it, all that at this point. I'm not going to do anything. The mud will fill it in. All right. Okay, now that the rear fenders are done, we are going to cut the front. Now, the front is much simpler. There's no folding involved. It is basically just a straight cut, clean up, and paint. There are several places we can cut these. A lot of people will follow either these lines around the fender or the body lines around the fender. They work great. I would recommend doing this inner line right here. The only thing that I usually do is if tires are going to hit when you're flexed and turned, it's going to be here or here. So I come off of this upper radius and angle it back, you know, an extra 1.5 to 2 inches, and the same with the front. The only thing you need to watch on the driver's side, your windshield washer tank is in here, so you can't cut. Make sure you don't cut into that. It is right about at this line, so I'm not cutting any higher than that right now. But just make sure as you cut that with a 4-inch grinder, you do not nick that tank. You do have your solenoids and stuff for that tank also on the back side here, so that's why we're going to right here. Now again, this is just temporary, basically to get me through the weekend. I will be cutting this fender around this upper tape line in the near future here to building tube fenders, stuff like that for it, just to make clearance, but that requires a lot more work. I will actually have to do some work to the inner fender, cut the inner fender out here, move this up, you know, move air box, move battery, all that stuff. We're not going to get into that right now. It's just a simple, you know, cut. This body line, this inner body line, we'll bring it to roughly about match the rear. So you're gaining 1.5 to 2 inches, something like that. Like I said, I always take a little bit extra front and rear, angle it, and then there's also a pinch seam in here that we'll deal with here after we get this cut. So I will get the grinder out, I will cut this, and be right back. Okay, one thing I forgot to mention, once we get to this bottom here, you will want to cut straight back, not continue at the angle that you are here. It just makes it easier to cut through the inside. So here we will cut straight. Okay. Now, we also need to trim this lower corner right here out. And then we'll leave this, we'll just take a hammer and we'll pound some of this over. But we're just going to cut this corner here out of here. Okay, now that that is done, see we have plenty of clearance all the way around. We do have up here, you have one support. It's just a rivet right there. It was bolted throughout here into the fender flare. We can either drill that rivet out or just cut that off. It's not a big deal. But right now, we will deal with this back inner pinch weld there. For that, we'll just take another hammer and pound it tight against the body line. Now we can put relief cuts in this. It will help it go. Like I said, this is only temporary on this particular Cherokee. So I'm not getting too carried away with it. Okay, see how we got pounded over? Like I said, we can't go too much more in the front because of the windshield washer tank, and your inner fender is right here. I will be removing all that down the road. At this point, you want to take a floppy wheel, clean all this up, deburr it, which I probably will do that just so we don't get any injuries over the weekend here. And then paint it and you should be done.